Hi there, my name is Shaz. I'm going to finish up the videos for today by talking about 12 grams, 5 grams, goddamn, and 8 joints. There we go. Alright, that's good. I couldn't put my legs up before. I could put my legs up this time. Oh man, this whole position right here. Look at that. I got the screen in the face. My friend said I look like fucking Castro. It's not quite. Oh shit. Don't be cocky, Shaz. Don't be cocky. We ain't out of the woods yet. You can't fucking be acting like you have full ability. We said this is where all these stories are supposed to be teaching me. Humility. Remember, this is your biggest fucking vulnerability. I'm leaning as far. I'm getting my butt as close to the chair as possible because then it puts me in a position where I'm stretching it out while I'm sitting. There we go. Oh yeah. So I'm forcing myself to work it out. So if I sit like this for a minute, it might make me a little stiff. But basically, with your back, if I bend it like that, I'm leaning back, so I'm forcing myself to get as up as I can. And it's forcing me to stretch into it a little bit while I talk. So if I do that for like 20 minutes, I think that's going to be good. I just have to like ease into that position, and then this is like a forced stretch. And then I'll do this forced stretch for 5 minutes, and then I'll like, and then I got my legs under the table straight out, so my legs are like that. So like this is basically a stretch. So this is like if I went straight, I'm basically like, I could like, my toes are right under the laptop, right behind you. Ooh, this is good. This is good. This is good for the hamstrings, good for the lower back. Ooh. Oh. Alright, we're learning humility. All these stories, this is weird. This is interesting because you're not really like, this is all free association, and I have a very loose format and structure. But we're going to catch up all this shit too. Alright, so where were we at? I remember, yeah, that fucking Upper East Side. It was in the back of my mind. I was like, did I go there? Did I go there? But then the connecting thing was like texting that kid in the hallway, that Damnatio Memoria. It's like some cold ass shit. Now, so of course that's the shit I remember, the fucking words that I was most proud of. In his mind, he's probably like, this fucking kid's mental. But whatever, that kid, all he has to do is live his life as him. That is both his reward and his punishment. Fucking more than, that's probably the one thing in my life that has proven more than anything else that character reveals itself in both its reward and punishment. Even when you get a good man down, and the fucking story is of a good man fucking going down for a cause. Sacco and Vanzetti. Here, that's a good example, because I read their shit. Oh, it's right here. Sacco and Vanzetti. Even when you fucking, the innocent suffer, their suffering becomes a story in and of itself. What did they say? I don't know if we read this in fucking high school, but this shit stuck with me when I read it. If it had not been for this, I might have lived out my life, talking at street corners to scorning men. So Sacco and Vanzetti were sentenced to death for a crime they didn't commit. I think. Let me look them up first. Historical context, Shaz. You speak a lot, but how much is bullshit? Sacco and Vanzetti. Sacco, Vanzetti. And then you find out why the dominant structures and the dominant cultures are so, they care so much about narrative. Because you can do all the injustice you want, but if you own the narrative. Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti were Italian-born American anarchists who were controversially convicted of murdering a guard and a paymaster during the April 15th, 1920 armed robbery of the Slater and Morrill Shoe Company in Braintree, Massachusetts. 7 years later, they were electrocuted in the electric chair at Charleston State Prison. Both men adhered to an anarchist movement that advocated relentless warfare against a violent and oppressive government. I don't know if that's right. That's one of Wikipedia's. Were they the violent ones? Because at the time there were people who thought it was a war of ideas and a war of violence. Bakunin and other people promoted violent anarchism, but then there are like people out there, like Henry David Thoreau can be thought of as an anarchist in certain ways, or Ralph Waldo Emerson, but they had the nonviolent pacifist type approach. So well, this is good. This is good because I get to correct myself. Investigations in the aftermath of the executions continued through the 1930s and 40s. The publication of the men's letters containing eloquent professions of innocence intensified belief in the wrong execution. Is it just their professed innocence? I thought there was actually fucking evidence. Additional ballistic tests and incriminating statements by the men's acquaintances have clouded the case. Oh, what if they did it? But Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis issued a proclamation on the 50th anniversary stating that they'd been unfairly tried and convicted, and any disgrace should be forever removed from their names. So Dukakis said they didn't do it. Let me do this. Let me go to the source. Let me go Sacco Vanzetti, Reddit, anarchist. Just Reddit, and then I'll pull up an anarchist thread. So let me find people who defend them. Here, or we'll go to the historians, actually. The historians are going to be a little bit more fair and balanced. That's one of the best run fucking of... What? It's archived. How are we going to fucking... Reddit is very bad at fucking pulling up. Oh, fucking Steve Hoffman. This is a competitive advantage I can have over you. You don't have a very good searchable database of all these conversations because you are not trying to compile stuff for the historic record. You're just trying to make money so you can fuck bitches. Steve. Oh, here we go. Explain like I'm 5. Let's do that. That's going to be easier. They were anarchists who were accused of murdering 2 people during a robbery and were sentenced to death. There was doubt raised about their actual guilt, and many people took up their cause and their conviction due to questions about the reliability of the evidence against them. Were they really guilty? I don't know. Man, come on. Oh, here we go. Debate anarchism. Do you think Sacco and Vanzetti were innocent? I studied the case briefly for a class last year. Based on the evidence I saw, I think they probably did commit the crime they were accused of. But I'm an anarchist, and I also don't necessarily think what they did was wrong. So anarchists admit that they probably weren't innocent. See, you got to be honest. But they weren't found guilty on good evidence at the time, just prejudice against Italians. So it's basically a show trial, but also they probably did it. That's really tough. So this is like an OJ. This is why these things stay in the news. Because like everyone pretty much knew OJ did it, and OJ himself pretty much admitted he did it, but they fucked up the trial. And then how do we establish truth in society? Through the courts or through what I'm trying to do? My book is called Truth and Narratives. So that's why you got to have an even hand. This is also why the emotional response is so important to create an air gap between emotional response and action. Because I'm like, I just had an emotional response and I was going to use them in defense of that emotional response. I'm going to read their words. Their words are good. But they probably fucking committed this crime. That's hilarious. The ballistics evidence shows that it's pretty clear they did it. The defense couldn't get around or counter it, even with months of time. Still, fuck the factories. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what it is. It's like, within the context of the times, to understand, you had Pinkerton and the military fucking shooting people for striking. So, like, within the context of the time, their violence, whether it was completely justified or at least maybe somewhat partially justified, that's why I didn't like about the Wikipedia article, because you don't have the context. Like, for them to just tell me that they're violent anarchists, they're people living in a violent time, in which case you can consider the fucking factory system a form of, like, there's a guerrilla warfare going on between the owners and the workers. with violence happening on both sides. Who started the violence? That's a lot of the anarchist history, is these cycles of violence. Let me go back to the Reddit. What did I like about the Reddit is that they just fucking, it feels like they were just like, these guys believed in a violent ideology. They adhered to the anarchist movement both men adhered to the anarchist movement that advocated relentless warfare against a violent and oppressive government. That just doesn't feel even-handed. I would have rather they said, both men lived within a nation state which advocated relentless violence against its working class to suppress their natural inclination to improve their situation. That's equally honest. When you state that the perpetrators of violence, this is what they do with poor people. You show the violence of poor people, you don't show the violence of the state against them. You don't show all the inputs. So you just show some of the inputs. So we can't say that they're lying. They adhered to an anarchist movement which advocated relentless warfare against violent and oppressive government. What I don't like about that is they don't acknowledge that there's other types of anarchism. So not all anarchists at the time were violent. Many, like Kropotkin lived at that time, and he had a lot of issues, but violence wasn't one of them. But they act like that was the same America as now. That America back then was fucking nasty. There was a reason why people were, that's what understanding human nature. Human nature, you don't just have people who are all of a sudden violent or sociopaths. Like these kids who are shooting up schools. We don't have crazier kids now than we did 100 years ago. There's something about our society which is causing this reaction. And if we don't look at it that way, then we're missing the lesson. We're not going to end the cycle of violence. So back then there was something that was causing people like that to be violent. And that's why when those guys were this eloquent, you realize that they were reacting to their times. These guys weren't, there'll always be some people who are going to wild out and do some bank robberies because they're fucking crazy. But these guys were ideologically reacting to their times. And there's a lot of violence in their times that they're reacting to. Doesn't excuse their behavior. They were probably criminals who did what they did, but he says, if it had not been for this, I might have lived out my life, talking at street corners to scorning men. I might have died, unmarked, unknown, a failure. Now we are not a failure. This is our career and our triumph. Never in our full life can we do such work for tolerance, for justice, for a man's understanding of man, as we do now by an accident. Our words, our lives, our pains, nothing. The taking of our lives. Lives of a good shoemaker and a poor fish peddler, all. The last moment belongs to us. That agony is our triumph. Sounds like a really OJ thing. It sounds actually melodramatic. I'm disowning this whole thing, Shaz. I don't know. That sounds like a lot of ego. Interesting, though. It's interesting. But that's like too much melodrama for me. Why did I, that's what it is. A book like this, you gotta read with an even hand. Right now I'm reading Eric Fromm's Art of Loving. I should show the notes on that. Do I have them somewhere? Too far away to grab. But I'm going to take notes page by page. So when I go through Woodcock, I'm going to take notes page by page. But because you have to be able to defend your position. Know your exposures, your liabilities. I want to fucking, like what I just did right now. Sacco and Vanzetti. But if they committed the crime, I don't know if those are people I want to actually fucking, they're like my friends. Like, if you actually ride or die for your friends, you got to be careful about what type of company you keep. Because friends can get you in some shit. I don't know if Sacco and Vanzetti are my friends. What would I have done back then when you have the government violently oppressing workers? I've always thought that mine is a battle of ideas. And then self-defense. As far as temperaments and character go, Malcolm X pretty much fucking, I haven't found anything in that man's life that like if I had grown up similar circumstances, other stuff, it's like the pimping, the fucking wilding out, it was all just mostly a reaction to circumstances. The Brotherhood of Islam and all that stuff. But as he went through all the things he went through in his life, all of his reactions to it were honorable. And he got a wife and kids and fucking, he went, like for a man with that much hate in his heart for white people, fucking murdered his father. And his whole life he was treated like shit by white people. For him to put away that hate and go to Mecca and realize that there's good white people out here, it's just in America it's a political construct. It's like that guy, you don't understand that if you haven't dealt with that much hate and then put it down. I have a hard enough time putting down the petty little fucking beefs in my life. It's like that dude was as high and evolved human being as you can get. So I looked at, like, when I was in Harlem recently, walking by the Malcolm X Al-Shabazz fucking little market they have over there. They have like some of his spirits still around. It's not all gone. Some of it's still there. I really like, who's another person in history? I like Proudhon so far from what I like. I like some of Kropotkin, but he fell for World War One probably because of his politics. I like yeah, no, I didn't see any issues I like Proudhon was like solid, his life choices. Oh, I think Malatesta maybe. No, not him. One of the other Italian dudes, but one of the lesser known people who went to fucking Bolivia. I'm gonna dig into this book. I'm gonna find some heroes, but that's what it is in history. Few and far between, but I like him. Genghis, maybe Genghis. Yeah, probably I wouldn't be as violent as Genghis, but I like a lot of his story. And the violence was kind of a product. His blind spot was like he so devalued people who lived in cities. He looked at them like animals. For him, the slaughtering wasn't that big of a deal, I think, because like the life of the steppes was so different. They were still pretty much nomad hunter-gatherer, that the city people he felt like were, from what I can read, and I want to read more about Genghis because managerial-wise, like the way he managed his bureaucracies was as good as you can get as a leader. But the reason why he didn't value human life was like he had the ultimate objectification, like racism. It's just like the fucking people in the cities aren't worth being humans anymore. They've given up their humanity. Once you make that judgment call on people, then... But he gave people chances. He fucked with people, but he gave people chances. Alexander the Great, but I haven't really read about that guy. I'm sure if I look... Plato. I like Plato. I like a lot of his life. I don't know if like I would have died on the fucking hill he died on. But like when you listen to him talk and you read about him, it's like when you're watching... It's like watching a really high-end chess game. When you watch... Well, no, not Plato. Fucking Socrates. What Plato documented of Socrates' life. But when you watch the logical argument get constructed, you're like watching like a fucking Magnus Carlsen play chess. You're watching a really high-end, thorough fucking, you're like, wow, every single step is really thought out, really interesting. It's a lot for show because these are constructed dialogues in order to instruct something, but still, it's a really interesting way to build arguments. Really cool. Let me think of a contemporary I like. Who's a contemporary I like? That I actually like their judgment, their scholarship, their opinions. I feel like I trust their judgment. I don't know, it's tough. Shaz fucking is so critical of everyone. Who's a contemporary I like? I really shouldn't drink this. It's fucking late, and this is the last video of the night. Yeah, I'm not gonna do another one. I have to get to writing. It's already 8. Are we? What time is it? 17. This back is stretching out too. I really like William Blum. I'm really fucking disappointed he died. William Blum was like, he was emotional, and he had a right to be. I like Chalmers Johnson. He was in the Reagan administration. People say, how can you be critical of the United States military having been involved in a Republican administration? And he was like, I changed my mind when presented with new facts. What do you do? What do you do when presented with new data? So these people I really like Toynbee. That's what it is. Toynbee seemed to change his mind on the Palestinian-Israeli issue, other stuff, when presented with new ideas like what I just did with Sacco Vanzetti. If you're really honestly trying to explore truth, then you're not trying to just support your biases. You're trying to just do that. You have to be willing to go back and forth on this stuff. You can't be a good broker. You can't do business when you come in with bias. Yeah, you want the paycheck, and you're going to get it if you do a good job, but you have to do a good job. You have to be dispassionate. Like, what type of good lawyer, what type of good fucking like judge? You have to be able to have a clear head and make business decisions and life decisions. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I can't stay like in that position forever. I have to release the tension on my back now. Ooh. That was a good little stretch. I think I got some... I'm just trying to take my foot off of the... Ooh. All right, Shaz. That was good. And now we're going to lean the other way. See, that was correcting because I was leaning forward so much. I forced myself to fucking... Ooh. Lean back for a little bit. All right. I feel heat going in there. You can feel a good, really good stretch. When you release it, you feel a lot of blood going into the fucking area. What the fuck did I do to myself? I should probably get that checked out sometime. That's what my fucking ex said. My friend, she was like, you should probably, like, yeah, you're working on yourself, but you should probably get it checked out too. Whatever. What are you gonna do? Lower vertebrae and shit. I'm touching it. Doesn't hurt. Not like bulging disc. I'm pretty sure all that nerve shit would be. Yeah, this hurts immobile, but this is a pool. This isn't a fucking. All right, I'm good. This is good. After all that blood gets in there, every day I get a lot more mobility back. I'm a lot better than I thought I'd be. Yeah, this is good. This is good. The robot is lubricated. The robot has oil again in his system. He's lubricated and he's ready to go. Let's go, robot. Oh, you hear that? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 20. What was I at? I was at... Where was I at? The Saz was... Oh, I caught up to the fucking model girl. Fuck yeah. So that's when I was in that fucking hostel. And that's another thing. I would think about this while I'm working. I'm like, fucking, these clients don't even know my life. Like, I'm doing this fucking... So that's what it is. Sometimes you're walking the streets of New York a lot of days, and I'm tired because I don't even have time to talk about all the people who just fucking wasted my time. You take someone out, you show them like apartments from noon to fucking 7 at night. You show them fucking 10, 15 apartments, and then they just ghost you. And you prepared for them for like 2-3 days, and you dropped 2 other clients thinking that was the hand to go all in on, and they fucking dropped you. You lost all. You've been ignoring phone calls all day, so that's more potential clients. So I don't know which one of these are going to hit. I bet wrong, and I just lost 48 hours, 72 hours worth of business trying to close this one out because for whatever reason. And so you have to just like be dispassionate. You have to just be like what I just did right now. Like fucking, you have to be like, what is the truth here? What can I take from this? Next time I have to make a better decision. I have to be iterating towards improvement. And that's what I love about doing real estate in New York is like the hard work purifies you. It corrects you. Like I prove it through the paychecks. This isn't fucking business school. This isn't fucking, it's like, what is my business wisdom? It's earned because I survived. Every single month is another trial by fire. So like that fucking figuring out that roommate thing, trial by fire. That kid fucking me, gotta let that go, trial by fire. Shouldn't have bought that laptop, whatever. It is what it is. Fucking, and then I get that model girl, and then I get a couple nice ones. And that's what it is too. You start to learn that, like, just stay alive. There's gonna be an easy one. There's gonna be a nice one. There's gonna be a beautiful girl who, like, we have a good vibe, this and that. That keeps me alive. I'm a little full service ones. I wasn't stupid enough to like, when I waited until I got an apartment, and then I approached the first one on my list, literally. I'll talk about that one. I'll talk about her. That's the fucking girl who just helped me with the back, the NYU girl. She, yeah, that was if I think about like girls I would have married, her and Shah probably. Shah was too immature, and an NYU girl, me and her have to sort some shit out in my life. I knew I had to sort some shit out. I can't be a good boyfriend to her. How am I supposed to fucking actually like think about shit like that? And she had some shit that's why she's in therapy too. She's figuring some shit out. We did some mushrooms and we started fucking, I do mushrooms with people I'm dating. I don't know if I do recommend it, but you're going to impact some shit. Some shit comes out. Fucking, that's what I care about. I'm checking in with my folks. Fucking, that's when I'm exploring our relationships. How much of that is still affecting me? You might be done with the past, but the past is not done with you, and so you can't. It's not like you're gonna fucking ignore it. It's not like you're trying to get a blank slate. That is who you are. Just understand it and make sure you're not reacting to it in a way that you're getting into these cycles. That then you're just reacting to life. Make sure that you're creating the life that you want. You're not having dysfunctional emotional responses to life, and it's not interfering with your problem-solving abilities. Other than that, it's your narrative. Own it. Bad or good. My dad was an alcoholic, so that's why I don't drink. My dad was an alcoholic, that's why I'm an alcoholic. They're both equally justified. So it's fucking your narrative. Either you own it or you don't. My dad, he had this is real life. My dad doesn't drink. That's the thing, that my parents, being conservative Christians, don't have vices like that, but they have other blind spots. And then you learn everything's a benefit and the negative. My parents' benefit is that they have a wonderful compassion and heart from the Christian virtues of, they've taken in so many people, us growing up. All of a sudden there's a couple sleeping on our couch. They have a family with fucking kids and shit, and there's like a couple sleeping on a couch while someone got kicked out of their house. A young couple. My parents knew them from the church or something. Now they're sleeping on our couch for a month. My parents took in my friend Mike when I went in the army for a month or two while I was in basic. We have so many families like that. Those Christian families where it's like, no, it's not just tithing. It's a faith of acts. That's what, like, I fuck with them with the Christianity because, like, I'm trying to get away from religions with names, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why we committed the genocide in Iraq, is because consciously the fundamentalism which has pushed through the Republican Party for the last couple of generations allowed them to turn a blind eye towards this Muslim community, this Muslim country. It's a little bit easier to go and colonize a Muslim country because, well, fuck them, they don't believe what we believe. So I think that's my going theory, is that, I don't think, George Bush was talking about Gog and Magog shit from the Bible. They used it as propaganda, religious war of civilizations as propaganda, so that's all true. So, but I don't take it away from the Christian charity of, like, but anyways, introspection. That's all you can do, introspection. Learn to know yourself better, and then you'll be less manipulated by others. So that was fine. I just thought about the model girl. I could let that fucking little Spanish douche go. He was a pox on the name of Spain and its reputation in my life. So, and we're done. We're done with them. Model girl, the bright spot, fucking boss bitch that I couldn't. There was no negative to her. A little bit. She was caught up. I mean, how can it be negative if she's caught up in her work, if she's killing it? Hopefully she found love. She was in between boyfriends. She would tell me that. So that's why also the door was open. Talk about guys she was with. But she needed a lion. That type of spirit. You couldn't fucking, I don't even know if I could. I mean, maybe I could get her now, but I could get her after the dancer girl. I couldn't get her before the dancer girl. Because the dancer girl is one thing, but the dancer girl is still trying to figure out the money side, and she just might need to marry into it, or maybe she's just going to be like the artist and be humble. Or maybe she'll get her own art dance fucking company. She went to Europe and danced at a company. There are role models she has in her life on how to be a professional dancer and eventually get her own fucking studio and shit. But the model girl, a beautiful woman who's making real money and owning her brand and owning. That's what, like, when I've seen that energy out there. Maybe that's what I'm working towards, is to once again have my business and once again have my shit together. And then I need that type of partner. That partner who's all these other things plus that. But that's the thing in life, is sometimes they come across your life, like, not just once. That would be sad if, like, people like that only come across your life once. I live enough that, like, I'll run into it again. But I know what it is now, like, on my radar. Like, she was wild, she was beautiful, she was chill, she didn't let shit get to her. I went to her fucking company with her agency, to pick up a check before we went to the lease signing, because they were holding their money. So she had to, like, I told her what it was, and we had to go to her agency. She brought me with her. And I saw how the people fuck with her there. Just, not fuck with her, but I just saw the energy, and I saw, like, if you're intuitive about human nature, how she interacted with, like, the other models and the fucking ladies. She just had a grace about, like, she wasn't, like, what I did with that fucking other real estate dude. Like, she didn't waste her words. She was graceful in the way she managed her energy, and that's just a subtle thing in life. And when you see it, you see people dance in and out, like, they're firm, but they're soft. But they're effective at how they communicate. They don't have to say much to fucking do shit. And she knew that at a young age. She was only 22. Because she had to. If she didn't figure that out, she'd be run. These girls have fucking, they're walking through wolves. Fucking dudes and this and that. I think last time I found her on Instagram, she had, like, some dude with her. Like, hopefully she, like, all you can wish is happiness for people in your life who really inspired you. I only interacted with her for, like, maybe a month and a couple interactions, and she still fucking impressed me that much. So that is her. She gave me a book. She gave me a book about philosophy, Sophia's World. I think that's like a Danish book or something. Let me read that book. Not read the book, but read about it. I just remember that. That really impressed me too. I'm talking about, like, philosophy and other shit. And she was like, I love this book. You should read it. She gave it to me. My little naive ass mind. I'm like, maybe she likes me. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. She gave me this book though. It's like, if you have if people are taking an interest in your stuff and you're taking it. Maybe I found it on her bookshelf. Maybe it wasn't that she gave it to me. But the fact that she read it, it's like, how many model girls are reading shit like this? Sophie's World is a 1991 novel by Norwegian writer Jostein Gardner. It follows the events of Sofie Amundsen, a teenage girl living in Norway, and Alberto Knox, middle-aged philosopher who introduces her to philosophical thinking and the history of philosophy. Sophie's world, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, it's a narrative over which he goes and describes a Western philosophical tradition. I don't agree with all that shit. I agree with the quote that says the history of the Western intellectual tradition is one of just worshiping men or some shit like that. There's like a lot of blind spots in it, but it's a good survey. I love surveys, and so that's a survey in narrative form. And for someone who didn't really go to college, that's how I fill in the gaps of my education as well, with all these little surveys. Fucking. And then you find the stuff that fits your narrative, and then that's what this whole year is, and my writing right now is to create a structure over which I could put on history, and then fill in the gaps, but with my own narrative, so that way I have a corrective for the given age and society. Because if I just go up the same fucking ladder everyone else went up, what new idea am I gonna offer? I have to come with fucking originality, and that's why I like Pruden, out of all the fucking people I've read recently, or like Toynbee too, because the fucking historians hate him. They're like, yeah, he was too ambitious, and he tried many things and didn't accomplish any of them. In your worldview, because you guys are all fucking specialists, everyone is fucking building silos of information. Very few of them are generalists trying to see the bigger picture. It's like Toynbee tried to do a fucking rise and fall of the Roman Empire type shit, multi-decade work covering 26 civilizations, the causes for their demise. Like, it was insanely ambitious. I don't know of any. That's like trying to write a physics book on the fucking history of energy in all its states. You're trying to analyze all of human interaction at its largest level. That's fucking. If he was 20% right, there's something in there. I've already, just by reading about it, I've helped organize my thoughts that you always have elites in society, and then they're justified when they are problem solving, and when they fail to do that and start just worshipping echoes of themselves, they start losing their justification for power, and then the society either falls. This is his hypothesis as I understand it. The society either falls, or you have a creative minority which rises to the challenge to solve those problems. Fits a lot over what's going on in the world today. We have bureaucracies and authoritarianism that has strangled our democracy, created these power elites, which are worshiping echoes of themselves, founding fathers, and all these Democrats and Republicans all hearkening back to Reaganism, this and that, but none of them with new ideas. Just echoes of progressivism, social democrats, socialist democrats. It's like, fucking, you guys you're not really digging into 19th century philosophy and industrialization and blah, blah, blah. It's like, fucking invent something new, talking about pulling out these old tropes of progressivism because you have no new ideas. And so it's up to the creative minorities to come out and supplant the elites, I think. I think my intuition is that when I ran across Toynbee, I was like, this actually might be really, we'll see. I'm not a historian. I'm sure as I get into this, you have to be objective and slow down, because then other people, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You want to add something new, but other people might have spoken on this. I'm still getting heat in that lower back. That stretch for like 15 minutes really fucking put some blood in there. All right, 33 minutes. So we have the model with a brain. Fucking God bless her. Maybe I run across her sometime in life. Yeah, she couldn't figure me out because I was too fucking. That's what it is too. This shit, like, I didn't have the bandwidth. I was just like, I just dealt with this roommate shit, and then like, but I made enough money that month, so that was like, it was like once you deal with a catastrophe like that, it takes you a little bit of recovery. So that was another lesson. Let's get back into fucking Shaz story, real estate moto, and then I want to talk about that fucking girl, the NYU girl. We'll talk about. So we caught up to the model girl. That's good. And then so I made enough money to live at that fucking doorman room. She moved down the street, but we didn't really interact. We were kind of like, after, that's another thing too. Fuck or get off the pot. Like, I didn't make a move. We didn't really interact after that. So we interacted a couple times. It wasn't really like smoking, hanging out. I'm pretty sure she probably moved on. That's in New York. Your window is like, if she's trying to find someone to date or something like that. She gave me a couple chances. It was done. She was high quality girl. Like, she's got enough distractions. She's also a working fucking woman, in and out of the country all the time. And I got the hustle. I didn't have time for a girlfriend at the time. That wasn't my, until I got to Thompson, I could slow my life down a little bit and start taking me time more. I wasn't in the village yet, so I was in the Lower East Side. That was only a 3-month place. So I was like, this 3-month place, I'm gonna hustle up. And at the end of that 3-month place, I moved into Thompson. Very proud of that, because I paid 10 grand to get into that place. And then so I busted my nut in that place. I wasted my fucking, and then fucking Germ from Occupy Wall Street. I can't find him on what, I don't know how I would find him. Once I was on the street and there's I was going to fucking a lease signing and I saw some street kids, face tattoos, the dogs on St. Mark's. And I was like, you guys gonna be here for a minute? They're like, yeah, this is our spot. So I went to the lease signing, came back with like 5 tall boys and 2 packs of cigarettes, or no, 2 rolling. Why would I get cigarettes? Rolling fucking tobacco. This is a lot cheaper, and everyone rolls anyways. And now you have papers. So I passed it around. I was like, I sat with them. I was in slacks and a shirt. I sat with them and just fucking, I wasn't gonna like give them money. I mean, I don't know why. It's just like, it's condescending. It's like, no, dude, you guys like here. Like, I used to live places with like a squat where people like this would go and fucking hang out. Like I was in and out of that world enough. Gave enough those dudes rides, and I'm just like, I just want to hang out for a minute and be normal. I want to condescend, and I don't want to change your life, and I don't want to preach to you. I just want to remember times of my life in which people like you were my friends. So I sat down with them and we just fucking drank for about an hour. And I just shared stories. They shared stories, showed me tattoos, showed them my tattoo. And I asked them, you guys know Germ? And one of them knew Germ. But he wasn't in the city. Germ was a poet, gutter punk poet. I had a video of him saying his poetry. YouTube claims that I don't have a right to access my creative content, so if I could get that back, then I could hear Germ say his poetry again. He said he sat on Wall Street spanging, flying a sign with cardboard, and he wrote a poem while he was doing that. So that's a reaction, those emotions he captured. I never read my poetry. I wasn't confident enough in my poetry back then to be able to read it to him. I just heard his. But that's what it is. Like these kids who like in Occupy Wall Street, he had read fucking way more anarchism than me, read way more poetry than me. It's like, if he survived, hopefully he wasn't peaking, but he, at that point, was a better artist than me and a better political theorist. But he also had a mouthful of fucking rotten teeth. Living on the street is really hard to fucking... I bring him up because he was in the city and we hit each other up on Facebook or some shit. He's like, Shaz, because that's real, recognize real. Like, Germ and I are as far away, even socioeconomically. Like, I lived in between good and bad neighborhoods. Germ had a story. He came from the bottom. That's what a lot of the street kids, face tattoo kids, is like. There's like a certain fucking type of person who does that shit. Sometimes it's a tourist from like middle class or above. Not above, usually. I've never really met a rich kid who's slumming it like that. It's hard. Riding the rails, jumping on the trains and shit. I gave a kid a ride from LA to Santa Cruz. Him and his girl. Picked him up off of Craigslist. I think I charged him gas money, but they didn't have a place to stay in Santa Cruz. They were going to go, there's this bridge where a lot of them crash under. But we got in late, and I was like, I took him to a meadow over in Aptos. I knew my spots in Santa Cruz. I was like, we're not all going to sleep in the car. And I was going to crash with friends. I couldn't take them there. My friends understood me. I'm learning how to set boundaries, Shaz. So I took them to a meadow, and they had sleeping bags, and I had a sleeping bag, and we just slept in the woods. And we woke up, they're like, you're cool, man, you're normal, but you're still like kind of fucking like, they call me a rubber tramp. Rubber tramps are the dudes who are just living out of the car. I was like, no, dude, I've lived. You guys, you're just people, I'm people, it's no big deal. So the kid told me all the fucking stories about riding the trains on the way up there. All of his stories. He broke his leg jumping off of a train. You just gotta keep moving. Can't stay still. Running into the gangs on the train. Being tested by them, getting beat up by the bulls. That's your biggest danger, the fucking security. It's always human history. Your biggest danger is authority, whether it comes from the cops or the fucking police or the military. So the street takes care of itself, but the biggest danger is from without, the authority, which fucking looks at you as like the gutter, like the germ, the disease to be eradicated, sanitation. The cops came in to beat us up and Occupy Wall Street because We're fucking with the cleanliness of the city. We're the germs. Salman Rushdie came to our defense. He said, yeah, the Nazis burned books in the sake of sanitation too. We had thousands, maybe over 1,000 books. We had hundreds of books at least. Our library was growing. Well-known authors were donating signed copies to our library and threw them all in the trash. I put my 10 copies of my Complete American's Guide to Resolution in the fucking library. And people told me they read it. Some of the people were like, yeah, no, it's good, I read it. I got a couple compliments. I have one copy now, I think. One copy less. The battered copy that I was beat with. Is it here? Where is it at? Do I have the Complete American's Guide? I do, yeah. This is the one that I actually got my ass beat with. This is the one. That's why it's all fucking beat up. Because this is the one, my backpack, I tucked it over my backpack. That's just jazz thinking ahead. I put my backpack on my front and I tucked over turtle shelled. So when they beat my ass before they dragged me out of the park, I just took everything on like kicking and fucking punching me in the head and shit. I was just like that until finally I couldn't breathe. Fucking 5 fat ass New York cops on me. They don't look in person like they do in the movies. These are hefty men. And so this like kind of shows like all of the wrinkles and shit. Like whatever this thing endured was what I endured, but a lot worse. Oh, and it stinks too, because that shit was like in a bag for fucking a minute. Yeah, memories. That's the only copy I have left. The Complete American's Guide to Revolution. I should have read this one instead of reading the online one. Whatever, it is what it is. This is what I went to New York with. Occupy Wall Street. To sell this sell this book proposal. Look at little Shaz. Little Shaz. I didn't even know enough about computers to fucking make that signature clear and nicer. But I formatted it well. And look at my little Che Guevara chibi in the corners. Some dude fucking made those. I just stole them off the internet. But it was just more of a concept to fucking... In order to prove that the concept was sellable. And then what did I do? I didn't stay on that grind. I fucking was like, well, fuck it. I'm tired of this organizational protest, whatever was going through my head. I was like, I'm done. I'm making some money. And then I meet that fucking, that's what it is. I start to learn values and shit like that in life. Like, I'm learning this business shit, but then this business shit wasn't going to get me model girl. What actually turned her head while we were, I remember exactly, we're walking across the street, probably Avenue A, in the Lower East Side, showing our apartments. And I started talking about Taínos and the culture of Dominican Republic, Hispaniola, and Haiti, and Puerto Rico, and that political shit, and the fucking righteous indigenous wisdom shit is what turned her head. And she was like, this ain't the average broker. This dude's got some fucking... And I start telling her about the stories, and just the island swag starts coming out. And then that's like... And that's, I guess, the balance in life. Is like, that's what, like, I want the comfort of a nice life, but I want the dignity of my values, because that's what's going to attract me, the type of partner I want in my life. Because I could get the girls from, like, doing the business shit. I did. But, and I could get the damaged girls, too. I did. But that model, the same with the British girl, too. She liked, there's a certain type of girl, a certain type of person you attract in your life when you're on that righteous shit. That righteous energy, because they're starving for it, because there's just so few people out there who are coming right, who are actually trying to fucking live a good life according to the values of, like, the ancient wisdom. Not this society of fucking consumerist bullshit with, like, consumption replacing civics and authoritarianism replacing personal responsibility and decision making. Fucking someone telling you what to do as opposed to you listening to your heart. People telling you that wisdom and love are not innate, but that you only have original sin innate, and you can't trust your mind and you can't trust your heart. You can only trust your spiritual leader. That's the shit my mom was taught. It fucks you up. I try not to be too harsh on them while I'm here, but I see it. She doesn't have peace. You can't have peace like that, thinking that you're fucking guilty from the day of your birth. And then that's what this form of Christianity, which gives you guilt in order to fucking absolve you of it. That's just a con. It's just a hustle. Someone putting themselves above you like anything else. Anyways, so after that I go to oh yeah, so Germ. I brought Germ up because I run into him and I thought that was hilarious. This is Shaz fucking with authority. This is me once again putting Mike in my car on the military base, sneaking him into the fucking mess hall, thinking it's hilarious. A random ass dude. After 9/11, when we're all in lockdown. No, this is before 9/11. Yeah, I couldn't. After 9/11, we had MPs. That base got locked down. Before it was a lot more casual. After 9/11, everything in the military got a lot more serious. But yeah, I wouldn't have done that shit after 9/11. That's some serious shit. But I was sneaking him into the fucking mess hall and shit. I was just like, just sign your name. They don't check that shit. He had a tight enough haircut. He looked like an Air Force dude. Air Force dudes are fucking. No, he looked like a Navy dude. Mike, I'm a little hefty even back then. I got a picture of Mike. I'll be right back. I'm going to show a picture. Should I? Yeah, I'll show a picture. I think after this I'm going to do some ice and then some heat. Or maybe I'll do it the other way around. Yeah, I'll do some ice and then some heat. I heard that you're supposed to alternate those, and then I'll do some writing. Check it out. Boom. Look at those badasses. My mom was dropping me off at his apartment. Instead of graduating high school, I went to live with him at his apartment. His mom had given him the apartment for the rest of fucking senior year. She went and lived with her boyfriend. She's like these baby kids fucking. He was letting his friends crash his apartment anyway. She would stop coming home. She was like, I ain't renewing that lease, Mike. Fucking, you can't live there after the lease is up. But all of us, every fucking bad kid out there, there's a mother who's probably enabling his ass. So Mike was like, yo, I got this apartment. I think he was paying her rent. Everyone was working. They were all working at Hollywood Video. Fucking look at us. Fucking styling. What is that, 2000? Look at those baggy cargo pants. And that. He hated that hat. He thought that hat was so dorky. Your friends all make fun of you. He's like, yo, you gotta ditch the visor too. And look at his fucking face, Mike. I need to give him this fucking picture. He's like, yo, you can't be wearing that visor around me, though. He had a fucking hip-hop crew. He was trying to start the Tough Boys. Like, he was Mike, I ain't like shit. Like a lot of my friends, I ain't like shit because my friends like shit, so I didn't have to. So he was all into Cash Money. So I fucking know Lil Wayne from way back then. He's like, yo, these dudes are our age, and they're making it, dude. But we weren't in it. But if you're in Atlanta and other stuff and you're in it, but we were joking around about that shit. But we saw it come up. That's me for some fucking Christmas thing. Anyways, these pictures, I was going to do something with them. But he had a crew he wanted to start. Mike, the idea guy. The idea guy is always the center of the crew. Fucking ideas. And so I went and lived with him and that was April onward, April, May, June. It was fuck high school. These people. I have like my circle's tight. I have like a couple people. So I was like, yeah, hang out with Mike and his crew, smoke my first cigarette, drink my first drink. Crushed hard on some dude's sister. Had no idea how to go from fucking point A to point B. But it's like you start to learn when they're cracking up at all your jokes. That like, yeah, maybe there was something there. I was hung up on the wrong girl at the time, of course. Trying to keep my head clear about that shit. Shaz. You learn little by little. I was a white belt. I was a no belt. I was a no belt. You get your belt when you fucking pop your cherry. I was a no belt. I should write my book about the Shaz's guide to a black belt. I think black belt of booty. That's a good one. Shaz's guide to the black belt of booty. First of all, get a belt. And what am I now? What's the fucking highest? I'm not a black belt. I cannot be black belt. You can get whatever girl you want. It has to be appropriate for you, because that doesn't mean you can get whatever girl you want who you shouldn't be with, because that would be rude. Like, oh, I want someone's wife or this or that. It can't be acquisitive, because the black belt is just like martial arts. That's what like the pickup artists were trying to do, turn love into a martial art, but there's a lot of ego and bullshit and just fucking like, they're dorks. They're dorks who fucking trying to be cool, but like, there's a way. It's like sales. It's just human behavior. Being able to, it's a dance. It's enjoyable. It's fucking fun, the pursuit. But you don't want to fall in love with it. I know guys who fell in love with it, who fucking just cannot turn it off. And I've seen that retirement too. I don't know if I want that retirement for myself. We'll see. I'm still trying to figure out what type of man I want to be. All you can do is be honest, and you'll correct towards truth. I trust that honesty and sincerity correct towards truth. I said that during this. I've said a couple things that are worth keeping during this. Not everything I've said during this is worth keeping, but a couple things. I should drink more water and less coffee, or else I'm going to be up all night. So, let me talk about NYU girl. So fucking, I have the apartment. I moved into 172 Thompson with homeboy. Bitcoin boy. Oh yeah, that's why I started the fucking share apartment thing. All these things get convoluted. So I put the Bitcoin boy with this other kid. The other kid freaks out. He wasn't like fucking like medicated, but the other kid, they get bed bugs, which is actually the best thing, because this Bitcoin kid was super chill, but he was like, yo, dude, that wasn't really a good roommate. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I'll find you another thing. I cash him out on that. Well, it's just since we did the bed bug thing that we were able to unwind the whole thing. I went to that broker. That was a life lesson on the fucking brokering. That broker, just like what type of brokers represent what type of landlords. It's like, it's fucking, I never really rented anything from him again. He gave guitar lessons on the side. He fucking, when we did the lease signing, he came down from his apartment with his shirt unbuttoned and fucking did it in the lobby of his doorman building. He brought his fucking super hot, I have to give him credit, super hot Asian girlfriend to the fucking showings and shit. And then, like, we did the lease signing right after he fucked her, pretty much, because we went to his apartment. He's like, oh, my girl's upstairs. I'm sorry. Shirt's fucking half unbuttoned. He's a fucking jazz musician guitarist. He got this connection because he gave the landlord's son guitar lessons. So, like, that's what some of these brokers, like, that's what it is. Some of them were fucking super uptight. I'm like, I'm not wearing a three-piece suit every day. But some of them were, like, super loose, where I'm like, well, I'm not going to be this dude. I'm going to be somewhere in the middle. But this dude was fucking... I mean, he was cool. I have to give him, like, he invited me some poker games. But, like, the thing is, he didn't smoke weed. That was enough deal breakers. We didn't do the business right. Like, he was like, when I told him about the bed bugs, I'm like, dude, your building has bed bugs. You didn't know about that shit? He was like, oh my gosh. Oh my, no way. And I'm like, you can't be naive. It's like, no, that's the reason the last people moved out. My guys didn't bring him in. Come on. My guys brought the bed bugs in. No, fucking. It was because, and then fucking this guy, like, you don't do this shit in New York. Like, this guy's, now that I know more, you realize just how much you were fucked. He convinced the fucking one of the roommates, not the Bitcoin kid, the other one, to buy some of the furniture. He was like, it was all furnished. He was like, you can't buy any of the furniture. These people don't want it. Yeah, because they have fucking bed bugs, you dumbass. You're going to sell fucking my client's bed bug ridden bed? So the kid fucking the other roommates start sleeping on the bed. Within a week, he's getting bit. And so fucking we have to get rid of all the furniture, and what we have to get rid of, we just unwound it. I didn't like the kid either. The other kid just was fucking tripping out, and I was just like, so I got everyone's money back. It's very clear in New York. You have a bedbug history. They didn't give us a bedbug history. It's like, you guys didn't abide by the practices. So whether you say you knew about it or whether you didn't give us the history stating there was no bedbugs in the building. Probably for a reason, because the last people moved out because of it, and that's why they left their furniture. So it was all fucking shady from the beginning. It's like, you guys give us money back and you treat it, and that's it. You do it the right way. You have bed bugs, you're a landlord, you treat that shit, or else you get in big trouble with the city. So luckily my Bitcoin boy is nice with the money, so he didn't care. He went, stayed in a hotel, treated all the shit, and I was like, I got him all his money back, so we still have a good word. That's what I was telling Shah when I train people. I was like, if you keep your client with you, they will stick with you through everything. But that's why you got to keep him tight from the very beginning. You say what you do, set the right expectations. But if you do that, life happens, but they'll know you're on their side. At one point, you might have to dissolve the relationship. Might be like, I have to call it a loss. It might be me, or it might just be circumstances, but I can't represent you. Like Mattis just fucking resigned from Trump. There's a polite way to unwind a relationship without fucking burning shit down. But yeah, that Bitcoin guy, he stuck with me. He was like, no, it's not, I could see it's not you. And also he saw the lease signing. This guy's so unprofessional. And I was like, yeah, no, this is a life lesson for me about who I want to work with in business. But let's get you another apartment. So then I found the apartment, and then in my mind, I was like, shit, well, I need a place. This kid easily qualifies on his own. So then I proposed to him. I took him to a bar down the street, and I was like, look, I don't want him. I really slow played it because I respected him, and I didn't want him to think that this was in my mind the whole time. But I was like, I'm really sorry that how it worked out with the other one. And I know this might like not be professional, but like I'm looking for a place too. So like, and I'm working on fixing my credit. So I'll show you my tax return, my bank statements, like I would do any other client. I'll show you how money in the bank. But can I jump in on this apartment with you? And then also I offered to pay the same as him, even though I got half his big room. He was like, yeah, dude. He was super chill. He was fucking. He helped me get on my feet because after that, then I got my own apartment, then I got my own studio. So and also what it was after a fucking year and a half of going from room to fucking share, I never spent more than 2-3 months in a solid place, like the hostel, then the Tribeca, then the hostel, then the fucking Upper East Side, then the hostel, then the Lower East Side. The doorman thing was great. That's why I brought up Germ. It's like I fucking put his name on the doorman list, and Germ was coming up. So I had my street kid, my gutter punk, coming up. The only thing with Germ is that I was like, do not. He would put a pillow on the seats. I like hard seats, and he would put his pillow on it while he did his Facebooking. I was like, Germ, do not sit on my pillows. I can't get the smell out the pillows, because he had. Like I told him once, I was like, let's get you. I was trying to reconcile my lives. I was like, Germ, let's get you back into society. Let's get you some clothes, this and that. But he would take breaks with me, but he was streeting it. So there's no reason for him to fucking wash or shower every day, or because like when you're streeting it, you're living. That's your costume. You're just every week or 2 weeks you get too grungy and you wash everything. But until then, there's no. So you just have a funk about you. You're like fucking basically a peasant in the medieval times. On the streets, everyone's smelling like that. So it's not really. You're crusty, literally. You fucking take your nail and wipe it on your fucking skin, and crust comes off. So like. I ain't mind. It's like fucking having a pet. Me and Germ were like, that's what real recognize real. It's just like, like he is who he says he is, and I'm getting into it now. But like I've always been an anarchist by spirit. I just didn't have time or energy or place in my life to reconcile those ideas and stuff. But like these are the books that people. This is what I got this book from Frawley back then. I've been carrying this book around for easily 6 years. Some of the books I have, a lot of the books I give up in that apartment. But I have a list of the books I have. I could always replace them. They're just books. Just material things. Part of this journey is to give up everything, to not really have any fucking attachments. But yeah, that's the only thing with Jerem I thought was hilarious. I was like, I would come home, I'm like, Jerem, don't sit on the pillows. I won't be able to get that smell out. But other than that, fucking, he thought it was hilarious too. He's like, Shaz, you're a king up here. And Jerem said something to me, because I was kind of butthurt about the model thing. I'm not going to get to the NYU girl, but whatever. I got myself to 172 Thompson. That's what I cared about. I was trying to like, I think maybe I talked to him about the model girl, or like I'm just trying to date her. I'm trying to figure this out. I had a gym in the fucking village, so I wasn't living in the village, but I would walk 10-15 minutes to the village to work out, trying to figure out how to get that life that when I first started brokering, I was like, I'm going to live in the village. And he was like, and I had a pull-up bar. I do pull-ups every time I fucking go into the bathroom and shit. So I'm bigger than when I was in Occupy Wall Street. He's like, Shaz, you're a beautiful man. Man, and any other girl, I would fuck you. Any girl who wouldn't fuck you is just like insane. You're just people like that. The sincere fucking artist, poet, just like, you don't hear that many times, especially as a dude to other dudes. And I try to build people up when I see it, when they need it. But it's just because that little couple times, male to male affection, usually don't get it. So I remember, I really positive vibes. I hope he's doing well. And there's so many people that when I was up, fucking, that's what it is. I was starting to get the claw, get the accumulative, my Shaz King's Quarters, 13 Carmine, number 13, New York, 10014. It was starting to harden my heart. I don't know. But now that I have nothing, I appreciate everything. And people like Germ, some people are not corruptible. I mean, they are. Everyone's corruptible. But like, I don't really think I'm corruptible, but that's what I'm correcting back towards my truth. And like, that's a person that I would trust with my life. And I don't even know him that well. Just Occupy Wall Street. And so when he was coming through town again, I was just like, dude, you got a spot. I'm up. Shaz is up. And he's my translator. So Germ is the one I like, but now he's my door to that world. And he's that door to like a lot of good fucking theory anarchist kids who came out during the protests. We had our little Bakunins and our other. History just repeats itself in cycles. We had our people who represented their camps, anarcho-syndicalists, anarcho-communists, pure communists, the fucking tankies, we had our little ideological shit. But like, he would know more about that because Germ lived it. But I need to find that dude. I told him, I was like, back then, I've always been trying to do this. I was trying to start a publishing company out of that Lower East Side apartment. Didn't have the bandwidth for it, and then I just finally like, all right, I need to get back to this. It starts taking away from the business. Get back to the business. 10 Bone Press has been on my mind for fucking 8 to 10 years. I just finally was like, what's important in life? You let everything else go. What's left on your plate? That's what's important in life. What did my mind come back to? We were trying to figure that out.